Yes, the Lincoln Navigator right here is a bit of a dinosaur, and it's about as big as a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it is an interesting rig because it has an appealing design, plenty of interesting technology, and it's a striking combination of power, efficiency, and capability, but at a price. And as you see here, that price is more than $130,000. I'm Jeremy Cato, and this is CatoCarGuy.com. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do. It really helps the channel. Just hit that button and watch the bell ring. You may be asking why in the age of electrification anyone would consider a rig like this. A rig with a twin-turbo V6 rated at 440 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque. That's a massive amount of stump-pulling power. Well, you might need to tow, and this rig has an 8,700 pound towing capacity, so if you've got that big Airstream, this might be the rig you can use it with. Also, you might need 3 comfortable rows of seating, a third row where an adult can carry on comfortably enough for a road trip. So you put all that together and add in very modern infotainment technology powered by Google, and while the system here is not ideal, and I'll get into that, overall, it's a big step forward and technologically sound. What do I mean when I say the infotainment system is not ideal? It really boils down to a tiny 11-inch touchscreen at the top of the center console that essentially controls everything that goes on with the 48-inch display that is at the top of the dash just under the base of the windshield. That display is really impressive and it's very functional. But everything, unless you use the voice controls, is operated through this silly little screen, and that's not great. Now, the Google software that really runs the whole thing, that works really well. But again, there's not a lot of redundant controls, physical controls within the cabin. If you want to adjust the side mirrors, for example, you need to go through that little touchscreen. It's just not ideal. Now, what else can be a problem? Well, look at the size of this thing. If you are going to park in an underground garage, it's a test of skill and patience. And of course, there's the price tag, $130,000 for a rig with ride quality that is okay on a straight line down a long highway, but it's still a bit soft, and in the corners, well, it's mushy and there's too much body roll. So a lot of these things come into play when you're deciding to spend a big wad of cash on a big rig. If you know your Navigators, you'll know this is the 5th generation Navigator. 5 generations of a rig that has brought some level of comfort, quality, and luxury to the big SUV marketplace. So the 5th generation, the signature piece here is the whole infotainment system and the inside design of this rig, which is really quite nice. I really feel it's luxurious, good seating, lots of comfort, a head, shoulder, hip room, leg room. There's lots of that inside, but it does have that $130,000 price tag, and I really have trouble getting over that, given that some of the features here, the ride quality and driver responses, even though some of them are quite adjustable, they're just not ideal. Let's get to the thumbnail overview. This is a large, luxurious SUV for up to 8 people. Space for people and cargo? Well, there's room for 8, and enough cargo space, well, you could empty out your storage shed, and then, because the towing capacity is so dramatic here, you could actually drag that shed anywhere you want. New technology? What you have here, more than anything else, is a dash-spanning panoramic Lincoln Digital Experience instrumentation and infotainment system, and it really is impressive. One of the tech add-ons is a rejuvenation, meditation, and relaxation program, which I guess when you're parked by the side of the road, or you're in the back country enjoying the view of a lake, you can just relax using this new tool. I don't think I'd ever use it. It seems like a gigantic waste of money, but it's part of the package. Google has wedged its way into Ford's product line, and so you have Google built in and Alexa built in with digital voice assistants. Now check this out. It's a clamshell tailgate design, and in some ways it's great because this tailgate can support 500 pounds, and no, I don't weigh 500 pounds, but it is kind of useful for storing goods or just having a seat. The challenge here is that if you're actually loading, if you're really loading into this rig, well, you've got this tailgate in the way. So it's a pro and a con, you decide. I do like that it's so easily operated. You also get here the updated BlueCruise driver assistance program, and it's not full on 100% all the time hands-free driving, but it's pretty darn close, and it's very easy to operate here in the Navigator. The Navigator isn't the only Lexo barge out there, and in fact, you have quite a lot of options when you're shopping for a rig like this. They include the Cadillac Escalade, the Jeep Grand Wagoneer, Infiniti's QX80, the Lexus LX, BMW's X7, and the Mercedes-Benz GL8. Lincoln offers the Navigator in a variety of trim levels and with different features. You can get the Reserve model, the one you see here, the Black Label model, which is even ritzier, and you can also get this in a long wheelbase version, the L. It's a big climb to get into the Navigator, but the power running boards, they are standard and very, very useful. Once I tuck myself into these very comfortable seats, and they adjust in, I don't know, a million different ways, what jumps out right away is this steering wheel. It's very flat. It's a very flat design, and it is a two-spoke design, which took me back to the 1960s. Now, why is it like this? It's so you can see over it, you can see that 48-inch digital display, which just goes right across the dashboard and is very impressive. The cabin overall has very nice materials. It feels like an expensive rig, and it should, because it is an expensive rig. I don't want to gloss over the biggest problem here with all this technology, and it's very simple. To program and operate that big digital display up there, you do everything out of this touchscreen, this little 11-inch touchscreen, which is below your eye line, which means some of the functions you need to work with are going to be distracting to you because it's so low. Yes, there are voice-operated controls, and they do work, but most people are still learning how to become comfortable with voice-operated controls in all sorts of vehicles. So there should be more redundant controls, and this digital display here, this little 11-inch display, should be a lot bigger and higher up so you do not take your eyes off the road when you're doing very simple things like just punching up a podcast. Let's talk about storage space here in the cabin, the functional stuff. Well, there's lots of it. This center console storage area is massive. You could get a small backpack in here. Cup holders everywhere. There's little cubbies everywhere. Well thought out if you carry lots of bits and pieces on your road trips. The Navigator isn't for everyone, and obviously it is not meant to be. It's $130,000, so that already narrows the marketplace. But if you're looking for a luxurious three-row SUV with massive towing capabilities and some interesting technology, put this rig on your list. You might be surprised by what you find. Thanks for watching. I'm Jeremy Cato, and this is CatoCarGuy.com. We'll see you next time.